Hey everyone, welcome again to Fancy Schmancy Wino. I'm James, not Jimmy, but I'm guessing you already knew that. The last few weeks we were able to travel through Washington and enjoy some great wineries and some great people. And now as we're heading into the end of October, into the beginning of November, it's time to focus on Thanksgiving. We started this month off with a video from Ruth's Chris in South Bend. Most of you are familiar with them and their steaks and seafood. Great restaurant, one of my favorite. And we're lucky enough to have the managing partner, Tim Reese, walk us through some great wines that you might pair for Thanksgiving. But now it's time to actually start putting it with some food and talk about what Jimmy and I would pair it with. I'm going to start off with just your basic potatoes and turkey and what goes well with that. And I'm excited to see what Jimmy decides to come up with. We haven't agreed on the foods, and we have differing thoughts of what one might do with Thanksgiving and family and fun, etc. And so each of us will do our own pairings. This week we're going to start off with the basics, and then we'll see where we go from there. The challenge, as Tim mentioned in the last video, is what wines highlight the food without overwhelming it, or losing itself in there. So, for example, he mentioned that you wouldn't really bring in a Cabernet Sauvignon with turkey. It would overwhelm the meat. And there are some others where it just would be forgettable. And so, as I thought about what whites I'd want to have, there's the basics. I think he covered Sauvignon Blanc, a Riesling, several great options for that, Eroica, Mary Edwards, etc. Some other folks that I talked with suggested maybe a Chardonnay. But for me, probably one of my favorite whites still remains a Sauvignon Blanc. And so this week I wanted to go back and revisit Kim Crawford. Many of you are familiar with the great wines from this company. Kim Crawford's really, in the world of wines, relatively recent still. I think they started off in like '96 in New Zealand and really hit the world by storm by the early 2000s, becoming very popular. I think in '08. A wine of the month with a Wine Spectator, so very well respected. And this one is the Kim Crawford Sauvignon Blanc from Marlborough. And the reason I like it is just a great example of a Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc. You're going to have certain colors and tastes that are just expected of those Sauvignon Blancs. Whereas California has its own character and appeal. Same with Marlborough, New Zealand, and so hopefully if you try it, you'll like it as well. I'm going to go ahead and pour this, let it show us what it has, and talk about the food a little bit. So right away, hopefully you see that it's your traditional straw, yellow, nice, crisp and clear looking Sauvignon Blanc. And so the hope here is the acidity will sit well with both the potatoes and the butter and the salt and the pepper, as well as the turkey, not overwhelming them or maybe offsetting the taste in a way that's not pleasant to you. So I've prepared, or my wife has helped prepare turkey and mashed potatoes, lots of butter, and some gravy. Now the wine itself, really what you'd expect. I mean, there's that citrus smell, maybe some grass. I get grapefruit right away. So again, what I'd expect from a great Sauvignon Blanc, specifically from New Zealand. Yeah, citrus, maybe pear, but a little light grass, just traditional Sauvignon Blanc. Let's go ahead and taste it. Yeah, it's the grapefruit right away. If you've had a nice grapefruit juice, this is reminiscent of that. And the other citrus fruits are there. It's just enough acidity. It doesn't create that pucker power or that pucker effect on your face, but just pleasurable and just enjoyable. And so for me, any time of year, and in particular, I would think of the warmer weather when you want a nice white that's just easy drinking. A Sauvignon Blanc fits that bill. And Kim Crawford again shows what I like about it. Just nice acidity, nice crisp citrus taste, grapefruit. Turkey, really, when I talk about it, it's not a favorite of mine. The reality about turkey, it's really all about what you put on it. It's a bland white meat, and so for years, when we've talked Thanksgiving, quite often, if we're going to do Ruth's Chris, it's probably going to be a steak and not their Thanksgiving special. Check online. I know ours has a big Thanksgiving traditional dinner, relatively reasonably priced. Going to be a nice place to go. I believe they said it's now their busiest day of the year. But if I'm going there, I'm going to get a steak because it's really all about the toppings. If you love gravy and you love butter, then mashed potatoes, that's the way to go. Yeah, I mean, I could skip the potatoes or skip the turkey and just go straight to the mashed potatoes. But in both cases, I mean, mashed potatoes are kind of a subtle taste. Maybe even to some extent, you could probably argue against me and say that they're more about the butter and the salt and the pepper as well. But I mean, when I think about Thanksgiving, outside of some of the other goodies, the pumpkin pies, maybe the cranberry sauce, those things, you think about turkey and mashed potatoes. And as I'm eating it, as I'm enjoying that meal, as I'm sitting with family, Sauvignon Blanc is going to wash that down well. Yeah, I think in this case, I'm going to say that, I need sustenance, I need protein, I need some carbohydrates, and I'm getting those things with a food that's not affecting my enjoyment of the wine. So it's decent turkey, it's decent potatoes. My wife is home, and I need her to hear that I believe her cooking is great. It is, but not my favorite foods. It is one of my favorite wines. Yeah, so as you're setting up your pairings, as Tim said, you want to think about what you're going to have and think about maybe having several wines to go across the meals. But I think you could probably get away with just this one. Just a Kim Crawford Sauvignon Blanc will get you through your sides, your main dish, and then maybe have a dessert wine as you finish up the meal. Next week, we're going to try another side dish. Again, it's all about the pairings, and I'd love to see how a red goes with stuffing. I do like stuffing more than mashed potatoes and more than turkey. And so maybe we'll try a Zinfandel. I've seen a few articles recommending that possibility. And so in the next few moments, you're going to see what Jimmy decided to have for his Thanksgiving meal and what he pairs it with. But for now, for Fancy Schmancy Wino, I'm James. Cheers.
Hey there, it's Jimmy with Fancy Schmancy Wino. That's Jimmy, not James. James is, I think he's actually at some sort of wine nerd convention, to be completely honest. Not entirely sure. But we're here today to drink wine, specifically this bottle of Kim Crawford Sauvignon Blanc Marlborough 2015. And as James mentioned, we're going to be focusing on pairing this week because it's Thanksgiving, so it's important. I'll be pairing it with turkey. However, I know that a lot of people spend the Thanksgiving with, family surrounded by loved ones at a table, having a big fancy meal and whatnot, good home cooking food. But that's not everybody. There's going to be some people that are going to come home from work, beat tired, want to eat some food and go to bed. This pairing is for those people. What kind of turkey should I pair it with? How about a banquet turkey pot pie? I'll wait for the applause. Why would I pick banquet? Well, instead of Swanson. Swanson's pretty popular. Why wouldn't I pick Swanson? They also own a winery. Well, I'll tell you why. Because the banquet's owned by Conagra Foods, and they own Ready Whip and Slim Jims. Can't beat that. Slim Jims, Ready Whip, frozen meat pies. They've been doing frozen meat pies since 1953. Gotta have that. Sort of. Flusty. Could be. Flaky crust, it says. Anyway, let's get to drinking some wine. So you're going to come home from work, and you're tired. You just want to eat some turkey and go to bed. So you crack open a bottle of your favorite Sauvignon Blanc, which incidentally probably does not normally pair with a meat pie, but you do with what you got. and you go ahead and have yourself a glass. So we're going to do that. But in normal Thanksgiving fashion, you're going to have yourself a big glass. And so we will. That'll do. See, we're making good decisions already. We've got our banquet turkey pot pie, our jug o' wine. At least it's good wine. Kim Crawford makes good stuff. Anyway, let's get to talking about this wine. I'm going to go ahead and not swirl it this time. That seems like a terrible idea. We'll talk about the color. How about, we're going to call that straw, maybe with a little, kind of has a lime green kind of thing going on in there, but mostly straw, I would say. Straw with some lime green tint. Smell. I really didn't think this through at all. Ah. I like that. It's kind of a fruity citrus, I would call that. Fruity citrus. Citrus fruity, whatever. That's what we're going for. Taste. Let's taste this wine. Nice. Nice acid. Crisp. Very fruity though. Very fruity. Some melon. Lots of melon. Although that's kind of what you'd expect in there. Nice finish too. Kind of hangs out for a bit. Not as much grass as a lot of Sauv Blancs have. Little bit. More of an herby kind of thing going to it, like a light herb grass, but very light. If you're not a fan of that big strong lemongrass, sake in the mouth flavor that you get with some Sauv Blancs, you'll probably like this. Obviously still a light-bodied wine, but it's on the heavier end of the light bodies, so it's got some weight to it for a light-body wine. And as I'm thinking about pairing this with this top quality pot pie, which you too can pick up for 10 for $10. Also, you know, a food's really good if they're selling it 10 for any particular price and it's not fruit. I don't know that this is going to be the ideal pairing for this, but who cares? It's a pot pie and wine. Can't go wrong, right? So should I smell that and discuss the color? Nah, we're gonna hold off on that. We'll just talk about the pairing. Is this how you thought you spend your day, is watching somebody eat a pot pie? I bet not. When I was going to journalism school, I didn't think for myself, Jim, someday you're going to be sitting down eating a pot pie and drinking wine and talking to your cell phone. But here we are. It's actually pretty good. I nuked it, or microwaved it. Probably baking it would have been a better idea. Crust kind of has a mushy consistency to it. But it works pretty good. The meat flavor's light enough, and there's some fat and some saltiness, go figure. That works out well with the wine. I like that. We're going to call this a winning pair. Speaking of calling things, we're also going to call that wine a solid B+. I like that. I hope I like a lot of it, because it looks like I got a big glass. But anyway, enough about that. I hope you've enjoyed watching me eat a pot pie and drinking a gallon jug of, well, not a gallon jug, big giant glass of wine. Next week, we'll do this again and we'll pair it with something else. Probably not a frozen food. But who cares? Thanks. Cheers.